Coming up on today's show, a man gets into a tragic accident and has to find out whether he's going to heaven or he's going to hell in the new French horror flick, Pandemonium.
Tu vas être bien là-dedans.
Stay tuned. Welcome to Scary World, where we walk you through the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I am your host, Arturo Padilla.
Hi.
For those of you just joining us, don't forget to subscribe up above and say what's up down below. We have one major rule around here, folks. No spoilers. Now that we got that out of the way, there are 5 categories: production, story, ensemble, horror, and legacy. Each category can earn up to 2 points.
Showtime.
Per IMDb, the synopsis goes, after realizing he has died at the scene of a car crash, Nathan descends into the depths of hell where he is doomed to experience the pain of tortured souls along the way. This movie was directed by Quarks. He does a good job making sure the movie is visually appealing. The film has a nice polished look to it, with all of the shots being framed and composed very nicely. There's some smart use of CG throughout the movie, and it does not interfere with the rest of the look. The editing is where this movie really lacked proper execution and awareness. This is primarily due to the story and the framework of the script, which we will get to in the next segment, but this editing should have been a little bit tighter. Knowing the trajectory of the script, because he wrote it himself, Quark should have realized the length of some of the stories inside this movie and should have tightened it down a little bit more. There are some segments here that could have used a trim, but there is a good overall package here, and there is a lot of potential in this movie. But technically, this movie is done well. It's executed well. Everything looks nice, everything looks good, the sound is good. All the technical aspects were done very well in this movie. And for all the hard work making sure this movie looked good, it deserves a solid 1 in the category of production. As I said before, everything looks very nice and polished in this movie, and visually, there's nothing off with the shots. Everything is framed well, there's good use of depth of field, there's good camera techniques also executed in this movie. But the problem came down to the editing of the movie. There was no real focus there as to what to actually concentrate on, and we'll speak more of that in the next segment. The story and the script is also written by Quarks. The concept is really interesting and can make for a successful story, but everything is poorly pieced together. We spend too much time on certain things and not enough time on other more important aspects of the movie that were shown.
J'avais besoin de voir la réalité en face.
To put it simply, this is the perfect premise for an anthology. And what we get here is more of a linear telling of this story. And unfortunately, it feels unfocused and it feels incomplete at the end of Act 3. But this is where my conundrum lied here, because the stories that we get are really good. We get 3 focal stories within this framework of the movie. We get story A, which involves the protagonist Nathan and what he's going through. And then we get the other stories that Nathan sees in his journey through the depths of hell. And that is where this movie kind of shines. Those stories that he sees, those tortured souls that he bears witness to, really make this super interesting. And those characters in those stories are very well written. They're very well developed. The actors in those stories do a great job, and we'll get to that as well in the next segment. This movie did a good job making sure they had plenty of stories to tell, plenty of enjoyable, captivating stories to tell, but it was not properly pieced together. One of the stories is longer than the other one, and then the main story gets a little bit forgotten until the last act, and then it's kind of rushed, unfortunately. It does hit the proper beats in every one of their little tales, but I really wish it was packaged as an anthology. They would have had more time with these stories and would have been able to execute some more of these very awesome stories of these tortured souls. And for the awesome story of Nathan and his journey in hell and the stories we get along the way, this movie gets a solid 1 in the category of stories. I do wish they packaged this thing together as an anthology and added some more stories in it. This is where this movie shined, and I think they should focus on that if they ever do decide to do another one of these. The cast did a really great job with their respective characters. This is the highlight of this movie. We get some really solid performances from everyone involved, especially in the stories we have the opportunity to see. Specifically, all the actresses that are involved are just outstanding, and I wish we can see more of them. And this is exactly what I was talking about in the previous segment in story, where you have these morsels of great ideas and just really good emotional writing, and you really want to see the complete payoff of them. We do get them kind of whole, but they're so well done that you need to see more of these stories and you want to see this expand a little more. We unfortunately only get 2 real side stories aside from the main plot with Nathan and him going through the depths of hell after he dies. But I think where this thing really shined was the casting and deciding to cast all the stars they did, because these actresses and these actors did a phenomenal job with their roles. They were really relatable, really believable. I loved their dialogue and the delivery and their cadence and all that good stuff that comes with the acting. There is a lot of emotional moments here, some unexpected, some that you can see coming in the story, but still so very impactful and just so very captivating. And I really did enjoy this movie because of these performances. And for the outstanding performances we get throughout this movie, Pandemonium gets a full mark of a 2 for ensemble. I really enjoyed the cast here, specifically in this one story. I'm not gonna go through it, but there's a mother and a daughter story there that is just so compelling and just so surprising, and out of the blue how good it was. I really enjoyed their performances, and I think that makes the entire movie are these characters and the actors and actresses who are portraying them. There is blood and gore sprinkled wisely throughout the movie, and it is effective when it is used, and furthermore, it looks good on the screen.
C'est complètement fou. La flatterie ne vous mènera nulle part.
There is CG that is also blended in with these gore shots, but it looks good and it does not distract too much from the on-screen action. In fact, you actually want to see more of this action on screen. Even the CG was well done, and elevates the scenes where it is used, because there's so little of the good old red stuff. There is a body count in this movie as well. There are some surprising ones throughout this movie, and they unfold very nicely as the movie progresses. I think they did a great job with the gimmick of this movie, and it is very effective. It's very compelling, as I was mentioning before in the story segment, as well with the ensemble. Everything is just overall packaged very neatly together to give us this very nice movie. I do wish they would have focused a little bit more on certain things instead of others, but what we got is what we got. That being said, all the horror stuff done in this movie is impactful, it is effective, and I wish we had more. And for those very awesome moments of blood, gore, and brutality that we get, this movie gets a solid 1 for horror. I do wish they would have crammed a little bit more into it. They kind of held back a bit, which is not a problem because everything was effective, but I think if they would have gone a little bit further, especially in that first little story we get, I think it would have turned out very well. This movie had a lot of potential. The story was captivating and unique. Unfortunately, it wasn't put together properly. As mentioned before, the anthology format would have worked extremely well here and could have led to an even more interesting set of stories from the dead. The end of this movie is also very fun, and I do wish it explored some more of that. This is what I was talking about in the previous section, where you wish you got some more, but by the time that you have that feeling, everything just kind of cuts you off, unfortunately. I'm not sure if that's because of the script itself or because of just the ideas that they had were limited, but it is a detriment overall to the package of this movie that you don't get as much as you like, unfortunately. And for the awesome moments we get throughout this movie, the unexpected moments we get throughout this movie, the great acting that we see, and the awesome premise. This movie gets a solid 1 for legacy. I think this thing could have done a little bit more with the concept that it had, but it was a solid effort overall. So to tally it up, Pandemonium received a 1 for production, a 1 for story, a 2 for ensemble, a 1 for horror, and a 1 for legacy, bringing its total score up to a 6. There was a lot of promise after this premise started to unfold, and I was captivated and entertained with this movie every minute. It is a slower type of movie, but you just get sucked into these stories and you want to know more, and that is where, unfortunately, it also falters, that we don't get enough of the good stuff that this movie does. But it is a solid watch, and I do recommend this movie once it hits VOD. It should be available now anywhere you get your streaming movies.
Can you tell me what time it is?
And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you for watching Scary World. Don't forget to drop a comment down below and hit the thumbs up on the video. Most importantly, do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell all your friends, your family, and their pets to come on down to CorpseFeed. Hit the subscribe button. We have spoiler-free horror movie reviews for you guys dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We also have the official CorpseFeed podcast, The Morgue, dropping every Tuesday wherever you get your podcast streams. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on those podcast streamers, and give us a nice rating and a review if you get the chance. We are also on all the social platforms. Go like, subscribe, and share, because we are there. We will see you on Friday for another episode. And remember, it is a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.